Hello, my name is Teresita Blanco de Sister, and we're continuing with Saturnastra Lamina. This is chapter 17. Spring came and with it all sorts of new problems. The Irving was marching towards Irving. Apparently the humans had broken a war treaty, and now the elves were using that as an excuse to reforge their empire. Their march led their army towards necromancy, and Irving was unfortunate enough to stand in their path. All the human towns and villages eastward had been decimated, and the elves were not taking any prisoners. Today the city is on high alert, and the guards and even the silver dragons that they supposedly did not have were on the prowl. And inside the tower, situation was just as tense. Outside the Batchmago, the fairies and the ghosts and the Sphynx are on the lookout, and the students and teachers are waiting in the heart of the tower. None seem too inclined to bother helping, and part of the problem is that magic users are no good in battle without support. And until the situation unfolds, your companions are just waiting for something to happen. Smiling, Irving removes his helmet and he coughs slightly and says, "This lookout is not going to help one bit." "I know," you say, frowning. "How come? I don't understand," says Irving. "Do you think that they can breach the wall so easily, that they can jump the wall so easily?" "They do not know how to jump over anything because they're already inside," you say, looking towards the fireplace. "How? How did we not notice, or did you let them pass to watch the world burn again?" Lamina asked Irving, narrowing his eyes. "Don't get all testy with me, Irving. And remember, I was opposed from day one to letting the refugees inside, and the elves probably slipped in with them as well, with the others we allowed within," you tried to explain. "How?" asked Fiore. "The infiltrator magic was originally developed by the elves." Pointing towards your rose, Irving says, "This is an offshoot from what we had originally developed, and in other times our race was almost wiped out by the humans. And to survive we developed these clothes that magically alter our bodies to look and be human." "Well, that is just the gist of how they work," you say, interrupting Irving, and he nods, understanding why you desire him to be silent. Even from deep underground you hear the battles of the dragons, and Irving gets up and makes his way out of the tower. And he soon joined by Ben Sabel, Maugris, and Poto Bastien, and neither or not Fiore. "You are not going?" Moans Fiore, pressing her doll close to her chest. And Princess Enua smiles and says, "It's okay if you don't want to fight." "You don't have to kill anyone you don't want to, Fiore. Just maiming those pesky elves will be more than enough help," says Ireron. Fiore does her skirts and goes to the armory to don her armor, and Irving waits for her with a glass of beer, and he tells her, "This weapon is only good for one shot, and if you and Lamina manage to break to the ranks, you can make the bastard Grimir call off his dogs." And Fiore takes the weapon and you ride out with her, and you fly up high and see the city in flames, and the darkers are roaming the street, and unlike the regular human raiders, they are limiting themselves to crippling their victims, women and children alike. And Fiore knows this and asks, "And why are they not killing the humans?" "I will explain this later," you say, flying across the fields. And you fly over the first elegant elven battle line, and you make your way towards the center, and the center warriors have a protective field, and you smash repeatedly against it while the fairies resonate to erode the magic. And while holding part of the shield open, Fiore jumps inside, and she has no idea who Grimir is or why he is relevant to this story. And she rushes towards the most distinguished authority figure in the ranks, and her eyes naturally fall on Grimir, the albino half-elf leader of the elves, and before she makes it to him, Grimir's bodyguards corral her and pin her down, and she is holding fervently to his heel with a glass rapier pointed at it. And one of the elven guards asks, "And shall we kill her now?" And Grimir shakes his head in negation, and then he tells Fiore in English, "I admire your bravery, little one, though it seems we are at an impasse." "And call us your bruise or you die," says Fiore. "It will just be a cut in the tendon, and our beloved goddess can easily patch up the wound," says the guard, smiling. "Cut them off or you die," repeats Fiore. "If you let go of my ankle and sheath your dagger, I promise to call them back," says Grimir. "I don't believe you, and I'll do it, and I will let you live," says Fiore. And the barrier breaks, and the fairies now surround Grimir, and Grimir says, "I was not expecting for there to be another guardian, and usually your people only send one. Well, no matter, I shall play my part as of the cowardly villain." And Grimir sends a light blue flame into the sky, and the chaos in the city slowly subsides, and inside the elven army moves on, and while Fiore watches and leaves, she asks, "Are we just going to let them go?" "Yes, there is no point in fighting against these elves that are practically immortal." And you say, "Johnny, but what about this rapier?" asked Fiore, holding the crystal weapon. That's just a repeater weapon and an ancient relic of the start of the abandoned wars, and in those ages wooden abandons was a nightmare, and the repeater weapons were designed to eternally strike the same spawn, preventing regeneration, and they can also be used to kill so-called immortals, you explain. And you continue conversing on this matter with Fiore as you head back, and a good number of the people have died, but the number of and the rest are just staggeringly injured. And you now realize as you see the children with missing limbs and quickly bleeding to death. And for the following hours, the archmages of your tower and the students spend their time mending the wounds. And the cult of Lara did not exist in the city, and essentially alchemy and traditional medicines were employed to mend the wounds. A week passes and the city is back in working order, and the incident with the Osfotator has the locals paranoid, always looking over their shoulder. And while going on your walks with Fiore, you hear a random person badmouth you, and a small gathering is occurring in the manor of Solaria, and the citizens are demanding to be rid of all outsiders and to kick out the local elves as well. And like most humans, they think that all elves are allies to the Alpha Seer, and the reality is that the elves are just as fragmented as human societies. And Solaria goes out wearing a red dress, and the people quiet down seeing her, and she processes to calmly answer all of the local questions, and at the end of the eternal interlude she says, I know that you're hurting, but bear with it, and turning on one another will be your ruin. And if you have any doubts about the loyalty of our elves, go to the hospital and bear witness to their suffering. And the locals eventually grudgingly dispersed, and based on Solaria's red dress, so one of her family had died. And normally when a person sees a dragon, they are usually frightened, and it takes great conditioning to fight such a beast and others of its kind, and it was not just the enemy's skill that was surprising, it was the fact that they used tactics native to your home, and the throwing of magic chants and the synchronicity of the units were familiar, too familiar, and why or how they had managed to pick up such habits. No, it could not have been one of your siblings helping them, could they? Your thoughts have been interrupted by Fiore, who asked, and what's the matter? You're still thinking about the elves and how the elves got within. Nah, I don't really know how. I was just curious about their fighting style, I thought. You comment, frowning. It was certainly melodic, kind of like the strange sounds emitted by those abandons, but nicer, said Fiore, smiling, and her face darkened as she asked. There was a surprising amount of injured people today. I would help them if I could, but alas, I lack the power of healing, you say sadly. And the following month, the tower spent researching curative spells, and he didn't have hardly any literature on this matter, and he never bothered to learn any healing spells because he never had the need to heal any injuries. And Princess Enua knew potions and their words, and Ben Saber was only versed in curses, and Potobase did no healing, but he claimed to require exotic ingredients to regenerate limbs. And this fancy was nothing more than an excuse, and to make healing magic work, the casters generally had to have the desire to help their fellow man, and Potobase did not want to admit that he was a douche. And one day you confront him and tell him, and want you out of these towers. And can I help you with something, Lady Lamina, says Potobase coolly, and like most of folk, he never took your outburst seriously. I don't want someone like you around my students, you say, folding your arms. And sighing, he says, and what is it really about? Is it about my healing magic? And once again you have allowed your pride to get the better of you, and you will deny the students the chance to learn healing magic just because you don't give a lick about non-magic uses, you say caustically. So you notice, and what of it, and one day the students will come to understand. Until then I will keep that knowledge to myself, says Potobasian. And what, you think you're better than me just because you can cast a spell or two? And please, in my true form, I can kill you by last week, and it is that superiority you use the true pain of this world. You say raising your voice, and you add, and whether you like it or not, your magic does not make you any less human than your peers. And flushing red, Potobasian says, in all of my years, and you should learn to respect your elders, young lady. Pooh. So respect for you means that I can't call you on your nonsense, and normally my kind does not like bursting people's bubble. But with you I made an exception, and as such I hate to admit it, and this school needs to teach healing magic. And I think I might be able to overlook your mean spirit and seeing as though the city might not need you in the end. And the problem is, how will you save face when I inform the students of what you did, or did not do, for lack of a better word, you say, smiling. Is this blackmail then? Asked Potobasian, somewhat deflated. Call it what you will, and I already said my piece, you say, leaving the room. And in the end, your blackmail worked, and Potobasian still decided to save face by claiming to have found useful alternatives for his rare ingredients, though frankly the teachers, Irving, and some of the students were already onto him. He gradually started helping the injured humans. The months slowly roll by, and before you know it, you will have to return home, and your companions know this, and they seem a bit on edge. And this is one other than Irving, who is even bitter when he speaks to you. It is almost as if he hates you. And this probably has something to do with Irving's influences, and as of late, the Bashman has been working as an intermediary between you and Irving. And close to summer, Irving finally settles down, and he comes today to see you in the park, and smiling, you say, ready to apologize? For what? Asked Irving, sitting down. Think about it. I raised you, fed you, bathed you, taught you, and this is all the thanks I get, you say, narrowing your eyes. Paused Irving. When you put it that way, I certainly have been acting like a little bit of a brat. Not everything can go your way, my dear Irving, you say, smiling, and you add, I am sorry if I caused you to develop some expectation with regards to our relationship, and to me you will always be the same little shepherd boy, and nothing you do or ever achieve will change that fact. But do you love me? Finally asked Irving. I love you as much as a girl can love a cat, you say, patting his head. Irving was right, you are incapable of loving another person, says Irving, getting up. But why is that so bad? People can do such terrible things for love. Just saying that word makes me nauseous. And I thought, or should I say, I hope that we will never have this conversation, and I find such emotions a bit of a try for my taste. And you can feel however you want about me, but do not hate me because I do not love you the way you want to be loved. And let us never speak of this again, you say, getting up before Irving has a chance to respond. The days pass and Irving stays distant, and you decide to give him some space. And it is a great strength and maturity to control one's baser nature. And by the time summer comes, you both finally come to terms. And to Quado's feeling, Eric convinced himself that I was his biological mother, and it did not take long to be repulsed by those feelings, and by summertime things were finally back, kind of like the way that they used to be. And during the summertime, you spend your time with Irving's other persona, the strange little girl, the second soul that lives inside of him. And after the abandons were killed, she no longer turned her back towards the world, and smiling, she said, I never thought the things would actually be killed. Nothing lasts forever, Goewin, you say, smiling. Goewin. And why do you call me so? Asked the girl. It seems fitting, you answer, frowning. Fine, I will take the name and everything it implies, she said, giving a mocking bow, and she asked, will you be returning home soon? In less than a year, I'm afraid, you said, smiling sadly. You don't seem too happy about the prospect of going home, commenced Goewin. It's been 20 years, and I wonder if it's going to be a home to return to. A lot can happen in 2 decades, and you add, it is probably nothing. I feel that I'm overthinking things. Thinking was never your strong suit, says Goewin, smiling, and the fields of yellow flowers turned to crimson red in the dream world, and the pale-hooded figures and the sunny sky turned into sunset, and there was something familiar about it, but you could not put your finger on it. You awake the next morning to find your other brother Marduk in your room, and he's resting his drooping head on his hand. And Marduk always still enjoys sleeping. It is a hobby your kind rarely indulges, and he stirs when he knows that you are awake, and smiling sadly he says, I am pleased to see you well, my dear Lamina. And dear, you only call me so whenever you feel pity for me. And tell me, is there a reason why you're so concerned about me? You are sitting up. All will be explained in due time, I promise, he says, chuckling. Sure, you say that now, you say, gritting between your teeth. And I was not really trying to hide anything from you or from the others. It is just a matter of common sense, and you should know by now have realized the consequences of killing every last abandon, says Marduk, getting up. And he does so whenever he's thinking. We save the world and all of the other worlds, and why should anything bad come of it, you say, getting out of bed? Certainly nothing bad did come of it. In fact, things are better than ever, if you think about it, and everything goes back to business as usual, and no longer will we have to worry about those pesky things erasing our existence, says Marduk, sighing. Then why don't you sound happy, you ask again. No reason, I'm just very happy to see you, and I'm glad that you formed some sort of roots in this city, and it is not easy for a kind to do so, says Marduk. And changing the subject, you ask, and how is Suberus? I don't know. What do you ask about him, says Marduk, smiling. Just curious, that's all you insist. There's really not much to say about him, says Marduk, folding his arm. And you grin and then head out to proceed with your regular routines, and Marduk stays with you for a week or so. And during that time, your companions badger him with questions. And by the end of their interrogation, they know far less about Marduk than they did before they met him. And he was not a fan of having a genuine, honest conversation with another mortal soul. or immortal for that matter, and before leaving, Irving approaches him and speaks to him like an old friend, and they converse in private for a bit, and while my dog was waiting his horse, you ask him, and before you head out, and can you tell me what Irving asked you? He asked me why there were 13 of us, and when it normally only takes one of us to deal with the situations, answered my dog with unusual frankness, and the fact that he had told the truth was not a good sign either. And this question bothered you for months after he left, and when you discussed it with River his year, and maybe your people have world domination plans for a change. Nah, it doesn't seem likely, you say, walking with him in the park. How so? Practically every advanced civilization has the impulse to dominate their lesser, and why are your people any different? Asked Irving. My people. I don't know what you think you know about us, and I can assure you this is not our intentions, and we almost limit our interference to give you fools the liberty to destroy one another. And there will even eventually come a time when you do not feel the need to engage in that nonsense. Until then, like the noble dragon, we will be content to watch things unfold, you say, smiling. And the Bashman who was eavesdropping says, and I think you're giving this world and its people too much importance. No truly advanced civilization will want to rule over a world filled with bloodthirsty fools. We agree in that much, says Irving, chuckling from winning his helmet. And the promised day finally came, and you do not pack anything, not take anything with you, and the Bashmago walks outside with you as you slowly draw your way towards the forest of beginnings. And you tell the Bashmagos, you should head back, and I probably am not going to be away for long, and Irving might need your guidance should anything bad turn up. And I'm going with you whether you want to or not, insists the Bashmago. Fine, you can come with me, if you can keep up, you say, smiling. Alright, so that's the end of Saturnastra Lamina. I hope you have fun with me reading it. Bye bye and God bless.